My name is Carlos Domenech. I work at GMV as a section head for climate services within the division of remote sensing and spatial analytics. And within the GDA program, I led the climate resilience activity that started in 2021 and finished in 2024. But I'm currently also involved in other activities like the agriculture, that is close to finish, and also the public health and the water resources management. But I also give support to other cross-cutting activities like the analytics and processing platform or the fast EU co-financing facility. The most significant change that I've seen from the very beginning to this actual point is that the awareness in the banks in particular changed a lot. So when we started in 2021, the awareness in the banks teams was growing because of course it's already engaged with them during EU4SD and other previous activities, but still was an early stage. So it was not many people, even within the same organization, some teams have a proper knowledge about Earth observation on the things that ESA was doing for them. But in some other cases, they simply ignore what was available and the possibilities that they had. Nowadays, it's easier when you engage, when you start discussing with the different teams, for instance, in public health, that we are still engaging with in the phase in which we define the activities to be developed in the coming months. We started already with a basis of knowledge that was not there before. Now, the teams have previous experience working with Earth observation or with satellite data or with ESA in other activities, so they more or less know what they can expect from us, and then the conversation is much easier. They have a more realistic view of what is really possible. Nowadays, when we discuss with them, they are asking questions about things that we can indeed develop, and then we have a discussion about the technical things. Tell me which the spatial resolution or the temporal resolution, how frequent I'm gonna get this information, or they ask us about challenges. Do you think it's possible to understand the situation of burns in cities from waste? Because they are aware that this is complicated, so we are discussing with them with more focus on what we can really do for them, rather than explaining everything about satellites, everything about what's possible from the different constellations that we have already orbiting from the different programs. Working for us in the climate resilience activity was basically changing the mindset of the people in the client states or the banks, because in particular the banks, they usually work with climate projections. They use forward-looking indicators, and this is the traditional way they see the climate. Okay, let's focus in the future, what's coming in the future for some specific socioeconomic scenarios, what the climate simulations tell about the future, how the future is going to look like, and then they basically prepare for that. And that's of course very valid. But with Earth observation, we bring another point, we bring another angle about, okay, the future is fine, the climate modelers are doing a great job, we expect alpha accuracy from these results, but still we can look to the past, we can look back and see in the last 40 years, how the situation evolved over this long period, because we already have a long period of satellite observations. So we don't have just 5-10 years, we can look back to 30-40 years. And in some cases, like for instance, looking at deforestation, this is very important in order to understand where we were 20 years ago and where we stand now. Climate is not an isolated thematic area. Climate is related to water resources, is related to agriculture, to green energy, to urban development, to many different areas, and all those are also interconnected. Understanding these interconnections is very important for the G program. So I think having regular meetings across the different domain areas, so having the teams speaking each other and understanding what works and what's not going to work, I think is very important, because at the end, most of the products are the same. So what you change is the use of these products. In climate, as we already discussed, we focus in long-term series, we focus on what's happening in the past climate or which is the future climate. In some other activities like water resources or forest management, we are indeed talking about management. So the past is not that important. What is important is what is happening now. But the product is not so different, because at the end, it's kind of the same technology focusing on different time frame. So I think it's important to understand, to communicate, and to have a common understanding of what's going to work and what is challenging. I think it would be great to see the GDA team, the GDA program, interacting, working with other development actors. That would be great. Let's say making the family bigger to see also how these other actors join the program as well. Other things that we would like to see is bigger efforts in the capacity building. Capacity building at this moment is on the bank sides, and sometimes it's challenging because they have a different understanding of what a capacity building means. So I think having a better understanding between the GDA program and the World Bank about capacity will be interesting.